Hi there, Frontline Church family and friends of Frontline. Today we are in Hebrews chapter 7, verse 4 through to verse 17. But honestly, I'm just going to go from verse 1 of chapter 7 just to unpack some thoughts, some ideas on this mysterious character called Melchizedek, someone who really is hardly mentioned in the Old Testament, a couple of verses in Genesis 14 and in Psalm 110. And yet in today's reading, really important, someone who helps us to see and understand who Jesus is as both a king and a priest, a role only really fulfilled by Jesus and Melchizedek. And don't forget, the whole point of this letter, Hebrews, is to show that Jesus is greater, he's superior, he's greater than any king that's gone before, he's greater than any priest that's gone before. So we know from the reading that Melchizedek's name in Hebrew literally means king of righteousness or king of truth. And he rules over the city of Salem or Shalom, peace, later to become Jerusalem, the city of peace. This echoes forward from Genesis right through to the reign and rule of King Jesus, a king reigning with truth and peace, righteousness and peace. And this priest king Melchizedek, when you read Genesis 14, he prepares a table for Abraham of bread and wine. The greater serves the lesser, the greater blesses the lesser. There's a sense that this priest is prophetically modeling, echoing forward to a day when Jesus would prepare a table for us through his sacrificial death, his broken body, his blood poured out. And the writer to the Hebrews, he says that Melchizedek is without father and mother. He's without beginning or end. And some academics, some theologians, they debate this, they debate the meaning of this, the Greek text here. Well, you know, there is at least in my mind, in my simple mind, I think the real possibility that when we read of Melchizedek, it is Jesus in the Old Testament. Jesus before his incarnation, his virgin birth. We call that a Christophany. We see it in Genesis 19, we see it in Joshua 5. But I know not everyone agrees with that. Some say that Melchizedek is a type, a foreshadowing, a prototype model, if you like, of the one who is to come. Either way, it's a powerful idea. And Abraham, the greatest person in Judaism, he comes back from war, he comes with into this great victory, so thankful to God for the victory that he tithes a tenth of his plunder to Melchizedek. This is the principle of tithing hundreds and hundreds of years before it was commanded as law. Before the command to tithe, the father of faith chooses to tithe as an overflowing expression of thankfulness to Jesus. And as a recognition that actually this victory, his salvation, was down to one greater than him. We've then got this bit about how Jesus is a greater priest than all the priests that descended from Aaron, how the receiving of the tithe proves that, and how Jesus is a greater priest because his work as a priest brings about perfection. Did you note that? It's talking about the perfection in verse 11. The priests of the old covenant were continually making sacrifices day after day, year after year for people's sin. And as we progress through Hebrews, we'll be reminded that the sacrifice of our priest Jesus was one time, once and for all, sufficient, a sacrifice that makes perfect forever those to whom the sacrifice is applied, those to whom the blood covers. A greater priest. Finally, Jesus is greater than the Aaronic priests because he's not qualified to be a priest based on his family lineage, on his ancestry. Rather, he is qualified to be a priest, it says, based on the power of an indestructible life. He's a priest forever, always living to make intercession for you and for me before the Father. It is one of the reasons that we do not need a priest. You do not need a priest to access God. You do not need a priest to confess your sin to or to forgive you of your sin. You have a priest, and his name is Jesus. Jesus is the perfect King who rules with power and truth and justice. Jesus is the perfect priest who ministers with mercy and forgiveness and cleansing. And here's a little bit of application from the passage today. Not only do you have a priest, but you are a priest. You are a priest because we are now of Christ's lineage, of his family line. We are his brothers, his sisters. Then we become woven into this kingly, priestly identity. We become a royal priesthood. So let's live in that identity today, bringing about Jesus' reign and rule of justice and truth and peace in this world, blessing those around us. That's what priests do. It's part of our priestly function. And revealing bread and wine, the sacrificial death of Jesus for all we meet. Amen.